Move along, people. Nothing to see here.
Move along. Yo.
Yeah. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 7 of Culturecopia Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be covering South Park. And for your listening and enjoyment, we've got this
I've been so
song.
sad and down, couldn't understand why haters joked around. I wanted to be free with other creatures like me, and now I got my wish. Cause I know that I'm a gay fish.
Gay fish, yo.
Motherfucking gay fish.
I'm a fish, yo.
Going on a gay fish.
It's alright, girl.
Making love to the gay fish. All those lonely nights at the grocery store. And the frozen fish trial, feeling like a whore. Cause I wasn't being true, even though everyone said that I had to make a switch. Now I know that I'm a gay fish. Gay.
Hell yeah.
All right. So, after some technical difficulties, we're back at it again.
Yes.
It's good to see everybody.
Guess who's back?
Yeah.
Man.
So
Back again.
early, just now, we were talking about like just the overall genius of South Park, right? And Matt,
Trey,
you
Matt.
kind of summed it up best. Why don't you start off with Matt Stone and Trey Parker prior to South Park? And
Well, they were doing, so Orgazmo was one of their
One of my
original
favorite
films, which is a wild fucking film. And there's another one too, Cannibal the Musical,
never saw
Really?
that.
Huh.
which, yeah, it didn't really I don't even know where you could find it now. But it kind of shows that even early on, like they were still, especially Trey Parker, was very involved in like writing comedy, like music and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, and that shows up again and again throughout the series, and of course, you know, we'll get to it, but they've got, you know, a very popular Broadway musical now, The Book of Mormon,
Right.
which I've actually seen live. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Huh.
I think right before South Park started to air, it was like right at that, like it might have already aired, I don't know, but Baseketball.
Yeah,
was-
that's another good one.
It was
Classic.
right at that time, and that's
Are you going to do hamster style?
hamster style.
Or is that Orgasmo or is that Baseketball?
That's Orgazmo.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. A lot of the jokes and stuff in Baseketball were definitely written by the Zucker brothers. You can tell the difference. There's some stuff that comes out in Baseketball. You mentioned before, like you can, you know, some of the characters.
Yeah, you can hear Mr. Mackey and Cartman.
It was Mr. Garrison.
Mr. Garrison.
When
that's it.
because they're like involved in like the Make-A-Wish thing.
Yeah.
And he's that's one of the lines I quote all the time too. Is he's like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot how much Doug Raymer cares about kids." Like, you know. And then he does the Cartman. Yeah, when they're like, "Tell that dude he's fat," and he's like, "No, just be really subtle about it." And he's like, anything but. He does the like,
Yeah, you're
"Hey,
like-
gay."
All right. So on that note, what's your favorite episode?
So my favorite episode is the very first episode.
Cartman gets an anal probe.
Cartman gets an anal probe.
Okay.
It was, to me, it's kind of the epitome of like, at least when they first started. I mean, the show has changed so much. Their style, the writing style, and everything has changed a lot. But it was kind of like, I don't know, man. It was just it's still so fucking funny to me. And it doesn't have to be, you know, like
The song that Cartman breaks out in.
Though it was an old Looney Tunes. Yeah. I love to sing about a moon. Yeah. You know, just and it's like I don't even know, man. Like when I look at that, and I'm just like, a lot of those early characters and like side characters and stuff. Chef is fucking hilarious in
God,
that
right.
one. Officer Bar Brady.
Greg, what's your favorite?
Imagination Land.
Imagination Land?
Yeah,
Imagination. And then Nate, what's your favorite?
You know, the Warcraft one is special to me.
Yeah.
Played a lot of Warcraft. Watched a lot of South Park up to that point too. To see those worlds collide was just great.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then the close second. Well, maybe we won't do close seconds because. But if I'm gonna pick one anyway, the one where Cartman's doing the respect my authority bit,
right.
Where he becomes a
around
police
the
officer.
aviators.
That's
that kinda
that's
sealed
another
Cartman.
old. Yeah.
So that's actually one of my favorites too. Isn't that the one where he's trying to figure out who his dad is?
No, that is after that. Well, I guess that was kind of like a
Because
running
isn't a Bar
theme.
Brady like he thought Bar Brady was his dad. So
Possibly.
It was
Chicken Lover.
Yeah.
That's the Chicken Lover episode.
It was the Chicken Lover episode.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, incidentally, the 2 episodes you just named, Nate, are both good Randy episodes.
yeah.
The WoW episode's a great Randy Marsh.
Yeah.
Like Stan. He's like, I'm only a noob. And then the Chicken Lover, the Respect My Authority, that one. No, I don't think it was Chicken Lover. It was Treehouse. It was Treehouse.
Okay.
Because that's the same episode where Randy and Sharon like separate. And Randy's like in the treehouse partying. He's got his chest hair out, his gold chain. He's like, hey, he's like partying with all the kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Cartman like pulls him over on his little big wheel. And he's like, hey, I know you. You're the kid that clogs up our toilet every time.
So it's difficult for me to pin it down. Like if I'm just going on like the regular length episode, it would be Casa Bonita. That's probably my favorite of all of them. But we're kind of talking. We didn't get to it earlier. My probably favorite like series or like ultimate like favorite like episode, but it's like 3 episodes.
Right.
Is the Black Friday special.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes.
And the reason why is because Nate, you hinted at it earlier. They end it with the beginning of Stick of Truth, the video game, right? And there's one scene in particular where Cartman is leading everyone through the Garden of Betrayal. And this guy comes out and he's like, hey, I thought I told you to get out of my garden. He's like, fuck you, dude. It's Garden of Betrayal or whatever. And he was like, I'll call the fucking cops. He's like, I'll shit in your fucking garden. And the guy is like... And so, like, as the episode progresses, it's like another one. He's like, don't listen. The guy pops his head. Don't listen to him. He's going to betray you. So that's probably, but there's so many. Imagination Land is up there.
Yeah.
Go God Go. The one about atheism.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Is that the one with, what's his name? The guy that ends up hooking
Dawkins.
up with...
Richard
Yes,
Dawkins.
Richard Dawkins. Okay,
Yep,
yes.
Yep.
And he hooks up with Mrs. Garrison.
Mrs. Garrison. And Cartman calls him from the future and is like, listen, whatever Mr. Garrison is calling himself, put him on the phone. And Richard Dawkins is like, Mr. Garrison?
Yeah.
Like, what
The funniest thing about Mrs. Garrison is the fact that they didn't change anything about the character.
Right.
Still had like the Costanza hair.
Right.
Yeah.
Like same stature, same voice, just literally had tits and like lipstick on.
Right.
Which that's another episode that's like up there is when Mr. Garrison gets a vagina. Eek a penis.
Oh yeah. So that was
It's on a mouse.
that was a reference to there was something going on where like in the science community where they were trying to clone like human parts.
Yeah.
And they successfully cloned a human ear like onto the back of a mouse.
Yes.
Only in that episode
Okay.
it was a human penis and oh honey, it's just a little penis.
Yeah.
No,
What about the Scientology?
Oh, that's
episode?
another one.
That was a
okay,
good
so
one.
That created a whole thing.
they burned a bridge with that one.
Yeah.
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 Isaac Hayes,
Yeah.
classically the voice of Chef, was not happy with that at all.
Yeah.
So on the next one, it was, what is it, Chef Returns. So it's the season opener of the following season. Do you remember that episode, Nate, at all?
I think
Yeah.
Chef dies in that episode or something.
Yeah.
Oh, in a brutal way.
Did they like get rid of him like the worst way possible?
Yeah, they got rid of him.
It was
Yeah, I remember some of
it was a reference to Revenge of the Sith, because he was like the Darth Vader. He was like Anakin. They leave him. Yeah, he like gets like his arm and his legs chopped off or whatever. Like it was the whole Obi-Wan and Anakin scene, you know, where Anakin's like in the lava and like burning up and stuff.
So I was listening to the commentary on that, and they like kind of did that. Like, so first of all, his voice in that episode is just former recordings.
It is. Well, they also did it in a way where it was very obvious.
Yeah, it was.
As part of the joke.
I'm going to make love to your asshole, children.
Yeah. It was very like choppy and like, you know, they could have made it sound good, but they knew what they were doing.
Right.
Yeah, so that, I mean, there's just so many, you know, that are that are up there. You mentioned earlier, Nate, canceled, where
Yeah.
Earth gets canceled.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites is like, oh, you must have some Jewsian in you.
Yeah. So, you're getting my jag on,
You
huh?
gotta get my jag on.
Suck on my jag on. Jag on.
And then they wake up the next morning like, oh, did we suck each other jag-ons?
Kenny took a picture.
Was it that another episode? It was like the portal, and it was illegal aliens.
Oh, the Goobacks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And they were, well, it was like people from the future.
People from the
Yeah,
future were
right.
coming back to like work
Yeah.
and send money to the future, I think is
Right,
what it was.
right.
Chicken sandwich. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the canceled episode with like the aliens and everything, where they find out like Earth is just a reality show and all that stuff. There is a callback to the very first episode in that,
Right.
where they explain the reason why the Cartman gets an anal probe episode happened, why the aliens came down and were like operating on Cartman's ass and stuff is because he had a satellite in his ass.
Yeah.
That was helping broadcast this show. So
It's funny. It's like it comes out of his ass, and they're like, "Cartman, are you okay?" And he was like, "You know that feeling you get when you take a really big poop,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, awesome.
It's awesome." And then all of a sudden it comes back in, and he was like, "You know that feeling you get when that big poop comes right back into you?"
But kind of a testament to those early seasons, like. I don't think people realize because now with like the technology and everything that they have and the way they animate it, there's a lot of work that goes into it. But like, they did those first ones by hand,
Right.
Right.
with construction paper. Like, dude, can you fucking imagine?
Right.
Like, stop motion, taking pictures. Like, dude,
No.
Stop motion in general.
Yeah,
Like,
is
man, you
is
gotta
so
have some
tedious.
patience.
So tedious. I had some of those. I had some VHS tapes with some episodes on them when I was younger, but even like the DVDs of like those first couple seasons where they do the intros. Have you guys seen those?
Yeah.
Where it's like the ones like a fireside chat with Trey and
Oh yeah.
and
Making bacon with Macon.
yeah, the cooking show. The fireside chat one was my favorite because they had a dog with them. They called him Scratch. And the joke was the continuity or lack thereof, which every time the camera would pan back over and like the shot would show the dog, it was a completely different breed of dog. and I mean like in an obvious way where it would go from like German Shepherd to Chihuahua
Yeah.
to like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Oh,
and
that's so good.
every shot was a different dog. It was fucking hilarious.
So Nate, what's your? And we've already gone over your like favorite episode, but what's like your fondest memory of like South Park? I mean, do you still watch it now or?
I actually don't catch South Park too much these days. I actually, don't watch Comedy Central too much. That's where I was watching it because I had cable at one point. And I
Yeah.
would watch it like all the time. Every time South Park was on, we'd look forward to it. Probably just watching it with my friends back in the day because
Yeah.
we'd get together and just shoot the shit, maybe burn a little something and watch South Park. And yeah, that's probably the best part and then rip it on the jokes the next day because they would have one-liners that would just go respect my
Yeah.
authority, wrote out for like a month straight.
Yeah.
Everything was respect my authority. And, that's probably my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
How about you? Any particular standouts there, Rob?
There's just I could quote it for days. Like I fed your parents to you. And so like listen to some of the commentary. So like in that one, like they always knew that like Cartman was like an asshole, but that one was like that was the turning point of Cartman, of the audience knowing that like Cartman was like pure evil.
Yeah.
Right.
Or that's one where Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I want some chicken. Or medicinal fried chicken, where he eats all the fucking skin off the chicken, and they stop talking to him and make him think that he's dead. But Butters is the only one that can like see him. And then Butters goes through all this like intense psychiatric therapy to I think you asked me a question earlier. Out of the 4 boys, who is who's your favorite? And you and Greg mentioned Kenny. Nate and I mentioned Cartman.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have to expand it a little bit further. My favorite character is Butters.
Yeah, you gotta love Butters.
Okay, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's like just this like innocent, like adorable kid. He's the typical. We all went to school with a kid like Butters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And we picked on a kid like Butters.
In particular, it's funny you say that because I'm thinking about there's one shot where they're in the bathroom and Butters is at the urinal and he pulls his pants all the way down and he pulls his shirt up and he's just standing there pissing. And
hey there, Wiener, where did you go? Do you need to tinkle, tinkle, tinkle? Yes, I do think so.
And there was a kid in my elementary school that did that.
Yeah.
He would go into the bathroom, he would drop his pants all the way to the floor, and he would hold the front of his shirt up, and he would piss in the urinal. We're all like, "What, bro? What the fuck?"
Go all that.
Yeah, we're like,
well, that's because
pants and underwear are made with a hole in the front for a reason.
Yeah, but his parents probably didn't teach him that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, his parents are like, okay, you don't want to get the last thing you're gonna want to do is get pee on your shirt or
well, he was
pants,
he was a little special.
Was he?
Just a little bit.
That wasn't like a total flex. He's just like, flapping the breeze, boys. You're like,
no.
This is the alpha up in this room.
No, he was. Maybe he was. Maybe he was. You know what? I'm gonna start doing that now.
Yeah, right. You have to put your hands
on your hips, though.
Hips.
Like,
so I just watched TMI, and that's the one where Cartman gets all the boys riled up because he thought that the school measured the boys' penis sizes. Okay,
right.
And staying on top of it with Butters, they go to measure Butters, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, he's a little shy, guys." And he's like, "Where'd you go, little feller?" "Oh, there he is." It's just like he was doing a scared turtle.
Yeah,
it's just fucking or the one where what's her name? Paris Hilton adopts.
Right.
That's one that I quote all the time.
All the time.
All her dogs are killing her.
Kill themselves.
The when he's singing that song, that old the company store song, and he's like, "You work 18 hours, and what do you get? Parents sell you to Paris Hilton." and I sing that all the time for no reason, dude.
You remember the other Paris Hilton episode with Mr. Slave? Like
Stupid Spoiled Whore.
Yeah.
Was that the same episode?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
They do a whore off.
Yeah, the whore off with
same
Yeah,
episode.
it's the same episode.
Okay.
There was a God, dude, he sucks Paris Hilton up his ass at the end of that.
That's brutal. And then we talked about how they tie in jokes from previous episodes. That ending is a prime example of them doing that. Lemmy Winks episode.
Winks.
Because they're like, Paris Hilton, in order to get through past the intestine, you must enter just like Death Camp of Tolerance. What was it called again?
The Lemmy Winks.
I think it's Death Camp of Tolerance is what it's called.
Maybe.
Okay.
Is the episode where they go, what did they do? They made fun of Token, wasn't it? Or something. Anyway, all of them have to go to this death camp.
Yeah.
And
Token's a good... Yeah, dude, Butters is a good...
Oh, no, that's what it was. They were intolerant of Mr. Garrison because he was trying to get fired. So they're like... They come home, they're like, I'm not going anywhere near that queermo. And they're like... What? Their parents are like, the fuck you say? And they... Yeah.
Okay.
Just...
Yeah.
So if we're looking at side characters, like you said Butters is your favorite. Randy's got to be up there for me.
Randy is such a good one.
But I'm gonna go with a classic, and I think it's because, like, this character makes me laugh the most. It's Officer Barbrady.
Yeah.
just, dude, he just has some
Moving along,
solid.
folks. Nothing to see.
Nothing to see here. He's got the one where, like, when Barbra Streisand shows up. We talked about Mecha Streisand on another episode, and she's like, "Don't you know who I am?" And he's like, "Are you Fiona Apple?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, if you ain't Fiona Apple, then I don't give a damn." And he just moves like, it's the dumbest. Like, he's so. He really, again, is like, he kind of epitomizes like the early humor of the show.
Yeah.
Where it's just so dumb. It's a little random. But it just fucking, dude, it just gets me every time. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Nate, what's one of your favorite jokes from South Park?
There's an episode that comes up. I forget the name of it, but they're hunting this weird amalgamated monster in the woods, and he's coming straight for us.
Oh,
It's coming right for it. Yeah, that's where,
Scuttlebutt.
Yeah.
No,
That's I think it
Scuttlebutt.
was
Looking for
Scuttlebutt.
Scuttlebutt.
Scuzzlebutt.
Scuzzlebutt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Scuzzlebutt.
that's a classic with
it's
Ned.
like a
Patrick
little
Duffy.
rabbit. It's coming right for us.
Patrick
right
Duffy
for
for a
us.
leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that was
Yeah.
one that where I kind of mentioned too why Kenny was one of my favorites, because that's the one where he's drinking the gasoline.
Yeah.
And Stan's Uncle
Yep.
Jimbo's like, "That is a dirty little bastard."
Oh, Uncle Jimbo's a good
He's like, "I'm a
character,
dirty
too.
little bastard too." Like, all jealous of it. No, that is, if you're talking about jokes, as far as like, that's a good one. Another like recurring joke from like the early seasons is like, anytime they did a news story, the newscaster was always like someone different, and it was always like the most random joke. It would be like, "And now covering the story is a midget in a bikini."
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it'd be like an amputee tied to a horse, and it's just a guy with like no arms and legs. He's like tied to the side of a horse for no reason. Yeah.
Well, we can get on. We can even go on to like the reoccurring joke of Kenny dying at the end of every
of course.
episode, right?
Yeah.
And then, do you remember that episode where he actually goes to heaven?
Right. He actually did die.
Yeah.
He died and goes to heaven, and then
Yeah.
like the joke at the end was, they find his will, and they're like,
Yeah, please. That was
Please,
the
for the love of
the Terry Schiavo.
Terry,
Yeah, that was the Terry Schiavo episode.
Yeah, please, for the love of God, whatever you do not show me in that condition on live television.
Which they did the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
Well, again, with Kenny, speaking of like going to heaven, going to hell, all that stuff, in the movie, which they did very early on,
Hey, Satan.
when he dies and he's like going to heaven, and then he gets denied, but it's just like a bunch of like angels with big tits and they're topless.
Yes.
And like, I love that that's like Kenny's version of heaven.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the South Park world, the only people who go to heaven are Mormons. Right? You guys remember that?
Correct.
Like,
Yes.
yeah. So like in there, you'll see like hell episodes. Gandhi's in fucking hell.
Yeah. They show that in the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe that is the movie.
When
Yeah.
Kenny's like going down to hell, and it's like Gandhi, George Burns, like a bunch of.
Right.
Yeah, there was an episode there, like, Mormons are the only ones who.
Yeah, Mormons are the only
Yeah.
ones in South Park. They're the only ones who go to heaven. Speaking of that, another favorite episode is the Hell on Earth episode, where Satan is throwing a spoiled rich girl sweet 16 party.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, I want a chocolate fountain." And they're like, "Yeah, Diddy did it." And he's like, "Well, I don't want to do it if Diddy did it."
Yeah.
and then now it's like becoming relevant,
Right,
again,
yeah.
you know, with all that shit going on.
Yeah,
Right.
Jesus Christ.
But I think one of my favorite jokes in that episode is the Steve Irwin joke. And they're like, "Hey, Satan, some guy just showed up with in a Steve Irwin costume."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
so Satan's like, "Hey, man, you know, it's kind of early because Steve Irwin had just died."
Yeah.
And he's got a stingray hanging out of his chest.
I remember this, yes.
Right? and Steve's like, but Satan, it's me, Steve. And he was like, "Oh, sorry, man, no costume, got to get out."
Yeah.
R.I.P. to Steve Irwin.
for
Yeah.
real.
What a dude.
That'd be a good topic for an episode.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, hell yeah.
wildlife shows and stuff in general,
Yeah.
Just educational television or something along those lines. You know, speaking of, you're talking about Satan. Satan's got to be one of my favorite characters, too.
He's a good one.
I think,
Yeah, he's like not the worst one. you would think that he would be like the worst.
Oh yeah,
but he's not the worst one. In
like
it.
Cartman's
worst. Probably,
well, do you remember like one of the early ones was like Satan versus Jesus? And
yes,
that was like the first one where they show Satan.
Yeah,
in the boxing match. Yeah,
yeah.
And they're like. Jesus
and Friends.
We're like, yeah, Jesus and Friends. He has his talk show. They're like, hey, look, it's the guy from the talk show. But there's one where like it's after the movie and Saddam Hussein, they kill him in the movie,
right?
Yes.
Technically, and then he goes back to hell because of course,
yeah,
right.
And so he's there like terrorizing Satan and like in a sense of like he's like the crazy ex-boyfriend,
right. Yes.
And. Satan's got a new boyfriend and his name's Chris, and I know that because I have a buddy named Chris. And I always say
Chris,
Saddam, I'm with Chris now.
So, hey Satan, look what I got. He's pulling out a dildo and he's like, oh, and he's like, oh, it's fake, haha. Hey, look here.
The movie is still one of my favorite things that they've done.
Yeah,
easily one of my favorite things that they've done. Now, we can't really talk about the movies they've done without bringing up Team America World Police.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's another one that is just... Nate, why don't you give us a little bit of an explanation on Team America?
It all starts out with a very, very, very like fast action sequence where they're rolling in and they're going to do an extraction, I think, or something like that. And it starts out like fairly tactical and then it turns into like a huge massacre.
Yeah.
And they blow up just about damn near everything. And while they're doing it, it goes, America, fuck yeah. And then the chorus goes on, and that was another one we quoted like crazy too. Just running around going, America, fuck yeah. That rode out for a minute.
Right.
Well, that's a very quotable movie in and of itself, and it's based on the old Thunderbird show. Yep. The shitty puppets, the little marionette puppets were like, but we still, Rob, you and I will always like when he's.
Oh no, Hans Bricks.
That and the one where he's like, it's me. What's he saying? Kiss me.
Smart ass motherfucker. Mine is, oh no, Hans Bricks. Oh, hey Hans, how you doing, Hans?
You're breaking my balls, Hans.
Breaking my balls.
Yeah, jeez, dude. That was just one of
so
those.
Many.
That and when he tries to fit in with the terrorists, Durka.
Muhammad Jihad.
My God, he's brilliant.
Right.
Bakalaka Durka, Muhammad Jihad.
Well, that's funny. So one of the songs in that movie, and again, this kind of goes back to like I was saying, like with
those songs are awesome, by the way.
Well, like I said, Cannibal the Musical. It was an early.
Everyone has AIDS.
It shows like Trey Parker. Has always had this affinity for writing. And there's a lot of good songs in the show, too.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Montage is one that shows up in Team America World Police, and it's in, I think, a couple episodes of the series.
Gotta have a montage.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
And he's got that, like...
Yeah, it's in the ski resort.
Yes.
One.
Yes.
They use that. Right.
Yeah. Dude, you should have pizza when you French fries.
Right.
That and Trey Parker does such a good job of that like shitty rock voice that like Montour. I always think of like those like early 2000s alternative rock bands, and sometimes I can't help but sing along with them in that Trey Parker voice. And not that they're good songs, but it's just like I'll be singing like Shine Down. I'll be like staring down the barrel of a 45. I can't help it. Like it's just it's been ingrained in me now, and I just do that Trey Parker rock voice.
Right.
Nate, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're
Nate,
good.
Who is your favorite character from World America?
No, I don't remember any of the characters' names.
Shit.
Pass.
Pass. Mine might be Bosley. Or Bosworth.
He was like
his name, Bosworth?
he was like the team like leader.
Yeah.
He's like he's like the one who's
I'm not gonna try and lure you into my thing, and he's like, and I am not going to suck your cock, and he's like, oh, okay, and then he gets in, he's like, now suck my cock.
No, he was pretty good.
I remember the interpretation of Saddam Hussein was pretty funny. They
Yeah.
made him with like the flip head, and he had the high pitched voice.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, Satan," and he had that. He had a lot of one-liners in that. And
In World America? No, you're thinking of Kim Jong Un.
oh, I'm thinking the wrong one then.
You're talking about Bigger, Longer, and Uncut
Yeah.
in the movie?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Where he's with Satan? Yeah.
Yep.
No, definitely.
Yeah, because it's Kim Jong Il is the
Yeah.
moon, right? Yeah.
Kim Jong Il, yeah, because he was
he's the father.
yeah, to Kim Jong
Matt Damon.
Kim Jong yeah, Matt Damon, yeah, all the whole the Screen Actors Guild, but they called it the Film Actors Guild.
so-
So,
Yeah.
it was-
So you know
yeah.
why? You know why Matt Damon can only say his first name?
No.
So when they were doing the marionettes, because most of them, they are very close on to the actor's likeness.
Yes.
Right.
They could not get Matt Damon's right. He kept coming out looking retarded. So they were like, fuck it, we'll just have him be retarded. And all you can say is his first name. Which is anything further from the truth. Like, if you ever, watch,
Oh, he's fucking, yeah.
dude's
No,
he should have, I think he's got a doctorate's degree or something like
Yeah.
that. His mom's in education. Like, Matt Damon is not a fucking dumb person at
well,
all.
and it shows how smart he is and how cool of a guy he is that he had no problem.
No problem with that.
He thought it was funny.
He thought it was
Right.
funny. George Clooney, which that's another one, Smug. Have you seen the Smug one?
Oh yeah.
Where, George Clooney's acceptance speech collides with the Smug from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Thanks. Have you guys have you gone to see the Book of Mormon or listened to any of the?
I have not,
I
but
have
it's on my
not.
list of things to do. I really want to do
It's
it.
I saw it. It came through town some years ago. I saw it at the Peabody, which I guess is not the Peabody anymore. Maybe, I don't know. It's fucking hilarious. I've listened to the soundtrack a few times. And it's so good. They are still talking about doing a film adaptation. And I'm totally for it. Yeah, but definitely. At least worth a listen, to listen to the soundtrack. It's so funny, dude.
Yeah.
And you get the story in it, like with anything else. You could listen to Hamilton and get the story, it's the same
Right.
thing. So.
So, Nate, I've got to ask you, video game-wise, did you play The Stick of Truth?
So I think that was the first RPG they came out with.
Yes, it
and,
was.
Yes, I played a bunch of that one. And
Scott
that was a
Malkinson's got
lot
the
of fun.
power of diabetes.
I've got Malcolm. I got diabetes.
Yeah, that was a great game. Yeah.
Dude, it's you have you can pick your character at first, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's a bard, a paladin.
It was like they took D&D and kind of reskinned it a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a warrior, maybe a rogue.
A warrior, rogue, and then a Jew.
I don't know if they added in this one or not, but they definitely added the second one. It was you could set the difficulty mode by tinting the color of your skin from white to black, and the darker you made your skin.
Are you
the
talking about
difficulty
Fractured
level would go up.
Butthole?
It might be the next one where they had that mode.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So
it
the
was
darker your skin is, the harder the game is.
Oh my God.
They put that right in the game because you tilt the character and make it darker. It's you've added a more difficult level.
Dude, in Stick of Truth, Kardashian has an aborted baby and it comes back to life and gets mixed in with some. Remember that salsa verde from Taco Bell that came in the green? That got contaminated with that.
Oh no.
Dude, I'm telling you, this game was off the chain, dude.
So the you were talking about the darker the skin, the harder the game, all that stuff. I feel like this belongs here. I was debating on whether or not I was going to bring this up, but since we're talking about South Park and they do make fun of Mormons a lot,
they make fun of everybody. Honestly,
They do.
Yeah,
They make
shots
equally.
everywhere.
Yeah. They really do.
They don't.
I'll give you that. But I mean, did they really take some shots at Mormon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, no, they did. They did. I forget what the episode's called, but they. What's the lead? What's the leader of the Mormon Church's name?
Joseph Smith.
Joseph
That's
Smith.
Joseph Smith was called a prophet. Dum
Dum,
dum
dum,
dum
dum,
dum. Yeah,
dum.
that whole where they're just But did you know that was actually one of the original tenets of Mormonism? Is that dark skin is a curse from God,
Didn't know that.
Really?
and that you there was something about so dark skin is a curse from God. But if you're truly righteous, like your skin will lighten over time and you'll become white. Like, yeah, it was like, it's crazy, dude. Like, and they amended that and like
Dum dum dum.
It has
70s.
nothing to do with like how close you are to the equator.
right.
Or yeah. It's got
How
nothing
close
to-
the sun
No,
is.
I'm
Or your
being
ancestors,
I'm
or-
like that's for real. Like, they amended that in like sometime in like the 1970s where they were like, nah, just kidding, guys. But like
too late.
Think about
Dum dum dum.
dum dum dum. Yeah.
Right.
So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
That's interesting to
You
hear
know.
that.
So we talk so much about pop culture. I figured I would throw out some actual culture.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, South Park is filled with culture and even pop
It
culture,
is, dude.
man. Like,
Trey Parker and
Yeah.
Matt Stone are smart fucking guys.
Oh, yeah.
Smart guys, dude. And they're from. So I don't know if you know this. I think I mentioned this in one of our recent episodes, but they're from Littleton, Colorado, and that's what they based South Park on.
Yeah.
Was Littleton, and it's Littleton's essentially just a suburb of Denver.
Right.
And that's where the Columbine shooting happened. Yeah. And I remember the Michael Moore film, Bowling for Columbine, he interviewed Matt Stone, and Matt Stone was like, yeah, I mean, you know, it's sad, but like that's, you know, our culture is that these kids were picked on and they were told, you know, hey, you know, you're losers, you're never gonna
I
be
remember
anything,
that.
and,
I remember
yeah.
that interview. It's funny that because they eviscerate Michael Moore in Team America
Okay.
World Police.
Do you know why?
I forget, but I did know, but I forgot. Why was that?
There's a reason. So and I love Michael Moore, but in that documentary, he interviews Matt Stone directly after in the sequence of the film, directly after the interview with Matt Stone, there's a cartoon in the movie.
Right.
And it's definitely like the animation style is very similar to South Park. And Trey Parker and Matt Stone had said like, hey, can you split that up? Because it looks like we're the ones who made it. And we're not trying
to get in the middle of it or anything
Yeah,
like
we
that.
don't
You
wanna-
interviewed us because we were from that town. And
He was, you know, Matt Stone was like, you interviewed me. I gave an interview about like basically on social commentary. I didn't want to get involved in the politics of it. But the
Right.
cartoon was very political. So they were like, hey, you know, like the way that you have this set up, it looks like we're
That's
the
right,
ones
okay, I
who made
remember
this
that.
very political cartoon.
Right.
So they put the film out and it still had that cut and they were very unpleased with that. Now, if you see newer versions of that documentary, they have edited it to where it's not cut that way.
got it.
But that was the reason.
Dude, they like I said, they fucking
Ah.
they skewer him. And
Well,
that movie.
in Team America, yeah, because they kind of took that as like, oh, okay, you like the way that you're supposed to be making documentaries to like give information, and you're kind of like you're skewing everything, which I don't believe that's the case. I think they were just kind of personally upset. But yeah, that's why they do that joke in Team America where he's like, "Say Team America ate my baby." Yeah. So where he's like kind of skewing the facts and everything.
I've heard that a lot of the celebrities are really thrilled at the fact that they're being parodied in South Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they have finally arrived in their stardom once. It's like a rite of passage for.
It's
Yeah.
like getting a song parodied by Weird Al.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, he would be another good topic. He's got to go on the list, I think.
Yeah.
Weird Al?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I could talk about him.
You know, even I would say that that's the case now, Rob. But even like back in the early seasons before they had like made it, there were some celebrities that jumped on.
Yeah. George Clooney's a real big one. Like he's a big fan of them, and they fucking
He
make
was
fun of
in the
him all the
movie.
time. He
When
wasn't.
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah. Jennifer
Yeah.
Aniston was
She
season
voiced-
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Season 1, Robert Smith.
Robert Smith.
From
they,
the Mecca Streisand.
They mention The Cure all the time.
So Trey Parker's a huge fan of The Cure.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like reached out to like Robert Smith's like publicist or whatever. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Robert Smith himself like reached back out to them and was like, I would love to do your show.
Yeah.
So he actually lent his voice. Now Barbra Streisand did not, and she was very upset about their portrayal of her. But yeah, Jennifer Aniston did. She guest
you guys remember
starred.
the Corn episode?
Corn guest starred.
Yeah.
That was like
Pirate Ghost.
season 3.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
early
That was an
on.
early one, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, George Clooney, he plays the doctor in the movie when Kenny's dying.
That's right. And he switches it with a
right.
potato.
Yeah.
Oh no. Does he
Yeah.
get his heart switched with a potato in that?
He's like, he wakes up and he's like, Kenny, the surgery went well, but we have to tell you, we accidentally replaced your heart with a baked potato and you have about 3 seconds to live. But yeah, that was George Clooney, because he was in ER forever.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were like,
Yeah.
oh, you should play like the ER doctor.
Right.
Like, and you know what? That's another basketball quote that I always throw out there is when they're in the hospital and he goes, give me those paddle thingies that George Clooney uses.
Oh God, what else? So we haven't talked about Fractured Butthole. Matt, I think you would really like that game.
I never played it.
It's basically Marvel superheroes, right? Nate?
Let's see. Is this the RPG?
That's the RPG one. That's
I
after
played the
Stick of
original
Truth.
Does it
RPG,
feature-
Stick of Truth, then there was the next RPG. Do they have a third game too, or just two?
I just know that the Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole. Fractured Butthole is
Yes.
the superhero.
Yep, I remember this one because
Is that
that's
with the coon?
actually the one where you pick the color of the skin and stuff. And
Coon is in it, I think.
Is it?
it's RPG.
What about
That was pretty
Mint
fun. I
Berry
finished that
Crunch?
Mint Berry Crunch is in it.
Mint Berry Crunch was
Yeah.
my fucking favorite.
Tool Shed is in it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So all of those characters.
Yeah, I never played that
Yeah.
one.
Dude, it's fucking good too.
Well, we talked about the old like N64 game. Do you remember the racing game that they did back then too?
No.
Oh, no.
They had a South Park racing game,
Huh.
and one of the like unlockable characters. So like you had like the main characters, and then you had like you could unlock like by beating certain like races and stuff. And one of them was Cartman in the cop uniform you were talking about there.
Yes.
Respect my authority. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, that was a good one. That was fun. And can I mention too that like so South Park started in like 97, 98, and I'm a little younger than you guys. I was about 8 years old. And I should not have been fucking watching
Yeah,
and,
me
like,
either.
and playing these games and stuff. And I was, dude. I was like fully immersed in this. Like, I definitely was. Yeah.
I remember our
90?
neighbor. When I was a kid, she got the, I guess, first season on VHS.
Yeah.
And brought that over and was like, telling my mom and dad like, oh, this new show, South Park. Like,
Yeah.
let's watch it. And like us kids watched it with them. And
Yeah.
Oh,
my
but
mom,
they were like,
my mom and dad. My dad definitely didn't really like it. My mom's like, oh my god, this is terrible.
Yeah.
But ever since then, it's like, wow, us kids loved it.
Yeah.
Dude. So we would go next door to a neighbor's house and watch South Park, and then, until we finally got cable or whatever, and then
a friend of mine went to go see the movie in theaters, and there's an episode where, and it may be in the theater, where it's, I fucked your fucking face, Uncle Fuck.
Yeah.
Shut your fucking face.
Yeah.
So I think that's how the movie starts out, isn't it?
It's pretty early in the movie.
So
the opening,
the parents are pulling their kids
yeah.
from the theaters, and
Yeah.
he's like, that's how it was
Yeah.
in the actual theaters. All these parents brought their kids to see this movie, and it opens up with "Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker."
right.
Well, it's funny because that movie was a commentary on what was happening with South Park at the time.
Yeah.
Was these kids were going to see because
Yeah.
that was the whole point of the movie
Right.
was these
They
kids
had to have a homeless guy buy them tickets.
went to go see the Terrence and Phillip movie, and then like it's so meta and so fucking smart, dude. Because it was also a commentary on just what was happening in the world at the time with like Marilyn Manson and all those other like artists and stuff where people are like protesting, burning their CDs and stuff.
Right.
Setting them on fire, not burning the CDs. I mentioned that in another. I made that mistake before. But yeah, no, it was it was almost like they knew what was going to happen when their movie came out.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucking crazy. It was awesome, though. I love the movie.
It's interesting to see where the future lies, because from what I understand, they loathe doing South Park.
Who? Trey Parker and Matt Stone? Well,
because it's gone on for so long. When they started this, they never intended it to go this long.
I thought
and they were going to be
like, they're like trying to get canceled.
They were
doing
like,
whatever they can.
Like they are trying to be so offensive.
Yes.
To be canceled, because that would be a funny way.
Yeah.
Kind of for them to go out.
That's kind of the only way for them to go out, man. Like I feel like they.
Well, they were going to stop. They were going to wrap it up for like 10 seasons or something
like
that, right? And Comedy Central came back and paid them an obscene amount of money.
And they're like, "Fuck it."
They're like, "Whatever."
Yeah,
fine.
we'll do it. Well, I bet you part of the reason is they've kind of pushed themselves into a process, and I've mentioned this before, where like I said, they have that. There's that documentary on Max called 6 Days to Air.
Yeah,
where it shows their processes. They make an episode in 6 days.
Yeah, and is that the one where they covered over, where it was over the pandemic?
No.
Okay.
No, this was before. This was pre-pandemic, but this is like the reason the way that they stay so relevant on like current topics is that it like the new episode will air on a Wednesday,
right?
And then Thursday they start working on the next episode.
You know, it's funny that you brought that up, because earlier we were talking about one of the coolest things I think I've seen. It's not my favorite episode, but it's up there because of the accomplishment, was when Obama got elected.
Yeah.
And what's it called? Sorry About Last Night or something, I think is the episode called, right? And they had to do two things. They either had two versions, right? So if John McCain won, they had that version, or Barack Obama won, they had that version, or they had a lot of stuff done and then they just crammed it in. And I think that's what they did.
And it comes down to like, the last few minutes.
They
probably worked overnight on Tuesday.
I think they did. Yeah, they worked overnight to get the episode ready for the following day.
Yeah.
Because it was like super relevant. Like Obama wins the presidency and he's like teaming up with John McCain.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
No, that's their process. It's nuts. Yeah, if you haven't watched it, you should watch 6 Days to Air, because it's so nuts. Like just seeing the way that they do it. Like I said, Wednesday the new episode airs. Thursday they start writing the next episode, and they gotta write. They gotta get it written, like animated, edited, produced, all that stuff in 6 days.
Yeah,
and send it out.
You know, Bill Hader was on that. Was on there. He was actually on the Fish Sticks episode of that season.
He's in that documentary.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. He was a writer on there for a while, and he did some voices. He was one of the two guys. He was partially responsible for the shits or britches.
Shits or britches.
Yeah, we gotta save them britches. Yeah, he was one of those guys.
There's a fella up there that shits his britches. He's like, what for? I don't know.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the bartender. Now Skeeter.
See, that's another one I quote all the time.
Hey, Panda. We don't take kindly to your kind or type around here.
Now Skeeter, he ain't hurting nobody. That one in particular, when he's like yelling at the panda, because he gets like really, he's like, no, I want to know something. Yeah. He's like, how come pandas are always seen eating bamboo when bamboo is grown in the low regions? Yeah, and he's like,
but they live in the higher regions.
Right, he gets all like Skeeter, shut the hell up.
Yeah. They took your job.
Sexual harassment, panda. That's another good one.
Yeah.
Classic. I mean, dude, what else can you say about these guys?
I don't know, man. I hope that they keep it up. I hope that they continue to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Their impact on pop culture and in general is just insane. Like, I mean, I can think of just about every episode that we do reminds me of a South Park episode. The last one that we did, the wrestling one, TMI.
Right.
Dude, World
WTF.
WTF. Yeah. Where did you see that, by the way? Did you get a chance to watch it?
I didn't watch it
Oh,
yet.
my
No,
God.
I didn't watch
gotta
it.
watch it. You being a wrestling fan, gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Another one about like the Harley riders and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, that's how I feel sometimes.
Right.
I don't, at this point, even if they stop doing South Park, and I know South Park has become such a big thing, but like whatever else they do, man, I'm down for it. Like I said, I saw Book of Mormon, I loved it. You know, anything else, I'd love to see them do another movie.
Oh, would be cool.
Not even necessarily a South Park movie. Like I just, you know.
How about a sequel to World America? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think they'll do that because they didn't make any money on that at all. Like, they did not recover their expenses on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I mean, we could keep going. I mean, like I said, I could quote this series for
absolutely.
Just like the
days.
wrestling, we barely scratched the surface of it.
It's and it's one of those things that we'll continue to bring up and each time we talk and like
the Hardy Boys. Ooh, I'm getting a clue. I'm getting a clue too. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for tuning into our season 3, episode 7, South Park episode. Next,
with a terrific audience.
Wow!
What a terrific audience. Next week we're going to be covering AI. We're going to recover that. We've got a special guest host, my wife, Tori Thompson. She's going to be coming down and joining us.
Greg's gonna sit out because he's afraid of technology.
And so we're gonna wrap it up there, and we'll see you guys next week with AI.
Tupac lives.